This video, I'm going to pick my all defensive teams. And if you watched my video that I did on who I thought should be defensive player of the year or the finalists that were chosen, I was saying that, you can't just look at steals and blocks per game, right? It's a little bit too one dimensional to look at just that. This is truly watching the games and particularly focusing on the defensive end of the basketball. Who's playing good on ball defense, off ball defense, who's playing good defense in the pick and rolls, whether they're guarding the ball handler in the pick or they're guarding the guy who's setting the pick, help defense. All of this, the intangibles of the game and the things that typically don't show up in the box score. And just a quick reminder that in order to make any of these kind of teams, the player has to have had at least 65 games played in the regular season. And also, they are not considering by position anymore, just like I was saying in the All NBA selection teams. However, I'm still going to take that into consideration a little bit because I don't want to have an all defensive team of just 5 guards or 5 big men, right? With all that being said, I think the most obvious one to start off with is Rudy Gobert. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He was on the team that had the best defense in the NBA. This was just a no-brainer. You got to put him on here by default. Next up, I'm going with Victor Wembanyama. This is who I was leaning towards if I had to vote for an NBA Defensive Player of the Year. I thought it would have been him. Now, as I'm doing this video, there's still names that I'm going back and forth with. But Victor Wembanyama is probably one of 2 or maybe 3 guys that I picked on my list who are not on a team that's a top 10 defensive team this year. However, when I watched Victor, just the way he altered shots, having guys thinking twice about coming in the paint and guarding on the perimeter as well, I had to put him here just off the eye test. Lu Dort is who I got next. And a lot of times when I'm watching him, I forget that he's only 6'4". And what makes him such a great defender is that not only does he move his feet very quickly on the perimeter, but if you try to back him down and use your size, because he's guarding guys who are a lot taller than him a lot of times. And when I see guys try to back him down, he's muscular. He got a strong base, so you can't just bully him in the paint or think you're going to get an easy post up on him. I got Herb Jones on this list as well for the first team. 2 things that stand out to me with him is his help defense and anticipation. His ability to anticipate the passing lane, play it, and get steals, and also his help defense, almost like a big man where he could come off his guy and go block a shot from another guy that he wasn't even guarding. So I got him on this. And last but not least, I'm going with Alex Caruso. Man, I remember I was watching a game one time and DeMar DeRozan was going crazy mid-range, probably had 25, 30 points. I can't remember exactly, to be honest. But in that game, Alex Caruso had, I think, about 10, maybe 11 points. No more than 15 max. And I'm watching it and I'm saying he was the MVP of the game. He's the reason why the Chicago Bulls won. He made so much defensive stops and plays, just things that I never saw before in terms of hustle and how bad he wanted to stop the opposing defense and just be a disruptor on that side of the ball. Obviously, I'm not giving it to him just off of one game. I'm only giving an example of how much I appreciate his defense when I see it happen. On to the all-defensive second team. And right off the bat, we got to go with Bam Adebayo. He was one of the finalists for the Defensive Player of the Year. I had the other 2, Rudy Gobert, who obviously won, and Victor Wembanyama. Now, some people are going to hear this and be like, nah, man, you got to put Bam on the first team because he was one of the finalists as well. But I was trying to go by position, and that's the only reason really why I got him on the second team. So if you disagree with that, I could understand why. Next up, I got Jaden McDaniels. And, Rudy Gobert gets a lot of praise for what he was able to do or help with the Minnesota Timberwolves. But Jaden McDaniels, man, he's taking all challenges to guard the best player, him and really Edwards as well. And speaking of Edwards, I saw the quote he said last year where they were asking him about the Phoenix Suns. And he said, yeah, they got Kevin Durant, but we got Jaden McDaniels. And then they end up facing each other in the playoffs. Obviously, recently, they sweep them. And look, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, those guys didn't have the greatest of series except for the last game. I talked about that already. But let's continue because I got Jalen Suggs coming up on this one. And, Jalen Suggs was always a really, really good defender. I remember watching him in college thinking that he was going to be maybe anywhere from like a Drew Holiday to a Chris Paul. I just thought he always had a lot of potential. Maybe he grows into that, or maybe this is what we see. But either way, he's a solid defender, and the Orlando Magic were a top 5 defensive team for this season. I just mentioned his name, so it's only right. The next person I have is Drew Holiday. Celtics are also a top 5 defensive team for this season. They got 64 wins, best in the NBA, and Drew Holiday is still harassing guys out there on the perimeter. Nothing has changed. That tenacious defense, on ball defense specifically, and off ball as well. He's really a pest, so I got him. And finally, I gave the last spot to Anthony Davis. Still a really great rim protector right now. 4th in the league in blocks per game. Alters a lot of shots. Similar to what I see sometimes with Victor. I just think even as a rookie, he's doing it at a whole nother level. Anthony Davis is also good in the pick and roll defense. You know, these were things he was mentioning as to why he feels like he's overlooked when it comes to defensive player of the year. But the reason why is the Lakers are just not a good defensive team, period. And unfortunately, I think that hurts him a lot when it comes to making his case for defensive player of the year. He's still very good to at least make a defensive team, though. That wraps up this video. Salute for watching. Let me know who you think, what you like about these teams. Did I miss anybody? Honorable mentions to guys like a Derek White, Kawhi Leonard. There's a lot of names out there that you could probably look at. Josh Hart is another one that comes to mind. Let me know what you think. Peace.